The Lord of the Rings has lots of different kinds of people. Elven people, dwarven people, tree people, half-size people, even people. There's like a million pages of background explaining this world that goes much deeper than the books or the movies, but if you don't want to read it all, here's a 4-minute summary, starting with wizards. It's easy to mistake the wizards as humans trained in magic, like elsewhere, but in the Lord of the Rings, wizards are low-ish level angels. They're called Istari, get ready for lots of names in this video, and there are 5 of them: Saruman the White, Gandalf the Grey, Radagast the Brown, and the 2 blue wizards. Their power comes mostly from being supernatural and not so much from book learning. They're sent by who, we'll get to that in a second, to help the people of the world stand against evil, not wildly successfully either. Saruman, the leader of the 5 with a mind of metal and wheels, gets corrupted, Radagast gets distracted by all the pretty nature, the blue wizards just kind of fade into the east, possibly starting cults of magic, and it's only Gandalf that stays true to the quest. Now, where there's angels, there's a god, and in this universe, that's Eru Iluvatar. In the beginning, there was naught but Eru and the infinite timeless nothing, which is rather boring, so he created lots of angels to keep him company. Iluvatar's angels are called the Ainur and are divided into 2 groups: the Valar, guardians of the world, of which there are 14 or 15 depending on who you want to count, and their servants the Maiar. So the wizards are the Istari, a subset of the Maiar, which serve the Valar, all created by Iluvatar. Iluvatar and all his angels sang together to make the world. The harmony started out great, but there was one Valar named Melkor, and just from the name Melkor, you know what's going to happen, even before learning he's also the smartest and the most powerful of the angels, and also a bit of a loner. Melkor didn't want just to be part of the chorus like his dimmer Valar co-workers, he wanted his own song and creations, and so his voice became discordant from the others and created all the suffering and evil in the world. But Melkor's song also attracted some Maiar to his side, including the Balrogs, which means the Balrog is a low-level angel, making him on the same level of the power org chart as Gandalf, which explains why an old man can hold his ground against a giant lava monster. Through his discordant singing, Melkor also created some of the evil creatures in the world, such as the dragons and trolls, which finally gets us to things that aren't angels. Other Valar also made their own non-angelic creations, though in a more cooperative spirit with Iluvatar. Manwë makes the great eagles, Aule made the dwarves, and his wife Yanava made all of the animals and plants in the world before capping off that minor task with the Ents, her own race of sentient creatures. While Iluvatar seemed happy to leave it to his Valar to make most of this stuff, he did personally create men and elves, which makes them special and kind of above all the other living creatures. Sorry, dwarves. And of these 2, the men are Iluvatar's favorite children, and he shows this by giving men shorter lives than everybody else, and also the gift of death. Thanks a lot, Dad. But their short lives set them apart from the other creatures, and they aren't tied to the music of creation and the world like everyone else, and so are able to forge their own futures. These qualities make them the get-stuff-done species of Middle-earth. Elves, on the other hand, are so connected to the world they're practically made of nature, same with the dwarves in their own way, and the Ents of course. These species all but follow the flow of nature, and it's partly why the humans have such a hard time getting them to do anything, even when faced with armies of orcs, which brings us to orcs. Melkor was powerful but couldn't make his own creatures as great as the elves and men, and so cheated by corrupting some of them in the beginning and selectively breeding them over the generations into these creatures. This business Melkor was up to of torturing elves, making monsters, recruiting angels from the other side, eventually, but unsurprisingly, led to a war that Melkor loses and got him banished into the void. All of the conflict in The Lord of the Rings comes long after the epic good versus evil fight of that universe. Sauron the Big Bad, who caused all of the trouble in these books, was just one of the Maiar, though an unusually powerful one, who started his career as Melkor's lieutenant. After the war, he did make a ring to focus his strength, but that's a story for another time. Last but not least, we have the Hobbits. Even though they seem related to dwarves, what with the living underground and the vertical challenge, hobbits are a subspecies of men. For such an important and pivotal race, there is little written of their origin other than the phrase related to men. Turns out, with a million pages, you still can't talk about everything, just like in a 4-minute video.